Today I'm going to take you through the most iconic long distance hike in Iceland. And this hike is actually two different trails, but if you simply put them together, you can have an amazing 4-day hike. And the trails are Laugavegur, which is 55 kilometers long, and Fimmvörðuháls, which is 25 kilometers long. What we really loved about this hike is that you will feel like you are on another planet. Like, the landscape in Iceland is so unique. You will be literally walking surrounded by glaciers, and you'll be walking on actual volcanic lava fields. So the landscape in Iceland is very special. Another great thing about this hike is that you can camp along the whole trail. So all of the mountain huts, they have a camping area where you can pitch your own tent. So if you want to do your first long distance hike with camping, this is a very good option because you will have safe surroundings to pitch your tents, and you will have some camping facilities there, and you won't feel alone. So let's get into it. The hike is located in Iceland. As you can see here, it's on the southern side. The hike that you see over here are the two trails put together. So this part over here is the Laugavegur, which is 55 kilometers long, and this part over here is the Fimmvörðuháls, which is 25 kilometers long. And now there are 3 different points where you can start and end the hike. So if you just want to do the Laugavegur, which is the most popular one, so you can start here from Landmannalaugar and you finish here in Thorsmörk. And then the Fimmvörðuháls, you could start from Thorsmörk and finish in Skógar. So you kind of have 3 access points and exit points. Depends what sort of hike you want to do. The most common way to do the hike would be to start from the north. However, we wanted to do the other way around just to kind of avoid the crowds of people. You know, we don't want to hike in a queue in a way. So we started from the south. If you start from the north, the hike is a bit easier because you do need to gain a little bit less elevation. To show you the hike properly, I'm going to use a hiking guide from takeahike.io, and I'll put the link down in the description so you can also access the same guide. So you can see all the same information. If you want to download the GPX files, for example, those are here. They're completely free. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. The elevation gain was 3,500 and the elevation loss was 3,000. So now we did the hike from south to north, so we did have to climb 500 meters more. And the max elevation is just about 1,000. So in Iceland, you are quite close to the sea level at all times. And here you can see the elevation profile. So you can see it's pretty flat. This thing here is the Fimmvörðuháls. That one is a bit more challenging just because you do need to climb about 1,000 meters. And the Laugavegur itself would be, this part over here, which you can see it's pretty flat. So how do you get there? So first you need to fly to Reykjavik, which is the capital, and from there you can take a bus. And it doesn't really matter which way you do the hike because you have bus connections to all these 3 places. So there's a bus going to Landmannalaugar, to Thorsmörk, and to Skógar. And the bus company that we used was this one, the Reykjavik Excursions. And here you can see, okay, this is not euros. Okay, it's not that expensive. Although, yes, the bus was really expensive. The most expensive bus ride I've ever taken anywhere. I think it was about 160 euros per person to get in and out, okay? Updated. Okay, these are the prices that we paid. So you can see, if you want to start from Thorsmörk, you have a bus there, or then Landmannalaugar, or to Skógar. And you do need to plan this very well. So there's only 1 bus per day, and it would leave Reykjavik at 7 a.m. To Skógar, it was about 3 hours, so we would get there at 10 a.m. But if you want to take the bus to Landmannalaugar, it's even longer. And then when you finish the hike, again, it doesn't matter where you finish, you can get the bus back. Let's move on to accommodations. So along the whole trail, you can find 10 mountain huts and 9 campsites. If you want to do the hike from hut to hut style, you can only do it from north to south. So for some reason, the booking system only allows you to book the mountain huts from north to south. They have a website for the mountain huts. It looks like this. And here you can find all the information regarding the mountain huts, and you can also make the reservations. And if you want to do camping, you have a lot of freedom and flexibility, because none of the campsites or the mountain huts, they don't take reservations for the campsites. So you have all the freedom to choose where you want to sleep. And also you can do the hike either way you want. You can start from the south or you can start from the north. It doesn't matter. And the mountain huts, they are a bit different from the huts I've seen anywhere else in Europe. For example, you do need to bring your own sleeping bag, and they don't serve any food. So you need to bring your own food and cook it. So camping is very accessible along this trail. However, you're not allowed to do wild camping. So you always need to use the official campsites if you want to use your own tent. Let's talk about food. So most of the mountain huts, they don't prepare any meals. So you do need to bring your own food. We basically carried a lot of these freeze-dried meals for dinners. Then we had some noodles for like lunches, and then power bars, and then a lot of candy and like chocolates. For us, it was a bit of a surprise that the mountain huts didn't offer any food or drinks during the day. Like when you're passing through a hut and you want to have a little break, usually, they offer some coffee or drinks or some, sandwiches, so just something very simple. But we found out that none of the huts, they didn't have any food, even not any coffee. And also, like, there's not even a shelter. Like, when you're hiking during the day and you go through at least one hut, you kind of want to have a break. Or then, it's been raining, it's windy, it's cold. You just want to have a little break in a warm and safe environment. But in Iceland, it's not possible, because none of the huts, they're not open to everyone just to like enter and have a break, and that one was like a shock to us. Like, that was quite disappointing, because when we were hiking there in the middle of July, the weather, it wasn't the best. It was cold, it was windy, rainy. So if you're hiking like 5, 6, 7 hours in those conditions and you have no place to have a little shelter, just to have a little moment, just a little coffee break. So we would still have a break in these mountain huts, but we would have to like sit outside under the rain, try to make a tea, with the cooking gas. So in a way, yeah, I mean, it's not so enjoyable, but you do what you gotta do, So yeah, we started our hike from Skógar, and we took the bus from Reykjavik at 7 a.m. and we arrived at Skógar about 10 a.m. And since the first day was the Fimmvörðuháls, which is the bit more challenging part of the hike, and it is 25 kilometers long. And we had to do this whole 25 kilometers in one day. So we knew that if we would start this hike at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., we wouldn't really have time to finish it. So what we did, we stayed one night here at the Skógar campsite. It's right next to the famous waterfall. So in a way, it was a nice area to also kind of explore and enjoy. And also, you should really, really try to eat these fish and chips. They're like the best ones I've ever had. We actually went there twice to have them. So yeah, we stayed one night at the Skógar campsite. And the next day, we started super early. We left the campsite before 7 a.m., which was also nice because we got to see the waterfall with no one else there. During the day, it gets really busy because it's super popular and famous. But if you're there in the early morning, no one is there, so you can have the whole place for yourself. So the Fimmvörðuháls is 25 kilometers long, and the elevation gain 1,300. And actually the elevation gain here, it's super easy. Like you can see here on the graph, you're going up little by little. And here, the first 7 or 8 kilometers, you'll be following a big river, so you will see tons of waterfalls along the trail. So this part was really beautiful. You really need to take some time to appreciate the waterfalls along the way. And this bit here, it's the last water source before getting to Thorsmörk. So all these bits, you don't have access to water. So it's very important to refill your bottles over here. Also, you do have the option to break this trail into 2 days because there are 2 tiny huts here, like on top of the mountain pass. So these are very small huts and they do not have any water source, okay? So you need to bring your own water here. And camping is not recommended because the elevation here is quite high. I mean, it's high for Iceland. The terrain can get very hostile, like really strong wind, cold temperature, so it's not recommended to camp here, you know. And since we were camping, so we thought, okay, no, let's just go all the way down to the valley where they have like the proper campsites. And so along here, the landscape really changes. It's just all very black, this like volcanic terrain. Here you go through a lava field that was created in 2010, which I was surprised. That felt like so recent, like just 15 years ago, there was like a big eruption and it created all of this lava field there. So that was pretty interesting to know. And this area here as well, like super beautiful. You start to get like proper views of the glacier here. So you have 2 glaciers around you. And like this one is a big one. So this day was super beautiful. Long, but really beautiful. And the first campsite would be here, Bazaar. So we had a little break here and we were kind of thinking whether we should camp there or not. So like if we should continue. Because I had this plan kind of to go all the way to Volcano huts, just because I read that they have a sauna and a thermal pool there. So I was thinking that it would be so nice and relaxing to finish the day because it was a hard day. So it would be really nice to finish the day in a sauna. So that was kind of my motivation. Okay, like let's keep going. Like I want to get to the sauna, you know? So we just had a quick break here, ate some noodles, and then we continued. And according to my research that I did, here you can see a few rivers. So I thought that we would have to do some river crossings here. However, when we got to this point, we saw that they had these little bridges put up there. I mean, I think they're like temporary bridges because they had this like wheel so you can kind of move them around. Maybe they take them out for the winter. I don't know. But at least when we were there, we didn't need to do any river crossing. And then you have another campsite here. They had a mini supermarket as well. They have a bit more services there. But again, we just kind of went through it and then we hiked another 2 kilometers to the volcano hut. So it was 2 kilometers extra. And once we got to the volcano huts, like the campsite's big, you know, they have good amenities there. It is more expensive though. So you have the sauna and all the facilities there, you know, kind of for free, or it's included in the price. So it was expensive campsites. When we got to the sauna and the pool, they were very sadly disappointing. The thermal pool, it was fairly warm. And when we got in, I don't know, I got a weird itch on my skin, so didn't stay there long. And then the sauna, I don't know, like it wasn't hot neither. Like for me, a sauna needs to be hot, you know. So both of them, yeah, disappointing. So the experience wasn't worth the extra 2 kilometers that we did or the extra money that you had to pay for the campsite. So if I would do this again, I would definitely sleep here in the Landmannalaugar site because this one was beautiful. The campsite setting was beautiful. And day 2, on this day we start the actual Laugavegur trail. So we will start from the volcano huts, and then here there is a little extra thing you can do if you have the time and energy. Although you don't even need that much energy to do this. It's a really short little climb. It's 200 meters of elevation, but you get to this really beautiful viewpoint. So we checked that one, and then we went down to this campsite again, and then we started the actual Laugavegur trail. Here already you get to the first river crossing. So here we changed into we carried these like water shoes with us that also worked as our camp shoes. And this crossing was quite short. However, the flow was pretty strong. It got up to the knees, but still, it was easy. And this day was beautiful. This was the only sunny day that we had during the whole time in Iceland. And we were there 12 days and only one day was sunny. Here there's a little kind of steep climb, but nothing too steep, but it was short. So it was easy. And then we finished in Emstrur. And day 3 was pretty easy. Less than 16 kilometers and elevation gain just 300. So this one was, it was flat, as you can see here. Here, right in the beginning, you do a little climb. I mean, it's less than 100 meters. It looks sharp here, but it's less than 100 meters. But then this bit was it was long, a bit daunting. It's just straight line and so super flat area. This one is kind of okay, just do the kilometers, get it done. And then here there's another river crossing. And it wasn't that deep. The problem was that it was freezing cold. So since it was very wide, it did take you a minute to cross the whole thing. But this one was painful. So you need to be quick. But once you are done with the crossing, you get to a mountain hut here. So we had a little break here. And then we continued a few kilometers more to this campsite. And along here, there was another river crossing. It was easy. It wasn't steep or anything. We did take the shoes off. So in a way, it was a quick crossing, but still, you would get the feet wet. This hut here, it's beautiful. It's next to a huge lake. However, sometimes it can get really windy because of that as well. But we slept the night here. This hut actually was the only place that had a little restaurant. So they would serve some food, there was some soup, and you could get a hot coffee. But this is basically the only place where you can find a hut with a little restaurant. And when we were finishing this day, it started to rain, it was cold. And when we found out that they have this little cafe, we were so happy. We went in there and we got a coffee. I didn't think they didn't have, we didn't eat anything, but we just got 2 cups of coffee each. To have this shelter around me, having actual walls and a roof over my head, I was so happy. I almost cried. I was so happy that I wanted to cry. But we basically stayed an hour there, just drinking coffee. But it was really nice to have a proper break from the weather. And the last day, day 4, it was kind of long. It was over 20k. Then the elevation gain, it was okay. It was 850. And the most climb we would do right here in the beginning. So it's a bit of a steep climb, but then you're kind of done with it. Here there is a river crossing. It is quite short, it's not wide. And then you do the climb here. Again, here you need to look back, because the views were amazing. You could see the lake far away. But also, once we got to this top part here, it got really foggy, super foggy, and also windy and cold. So this part here, it was a bit of a struggle. Julio, he got super cold. His hands were freezing. I mean, we were wearing gloves. But still, because of the wind, it started to get really freezing. And we were so happy to get to this hut. This is a proper mountain hut. And then they also have a campsite. However, they don't recommend camping here. The surroundings can be, or the terrain can be very hostile, again, because of the wind and the temperature. So, and when we got there, the wind was super strong. Some tents were struggling. They were almost flying away. So you really need to be careful if you're going to camp here. But what was nice is that for the campers, they did have this sort of a wooden building So we went in and we prepared a little lunch. This place kind of saved us. And after that, we continued. There's some like snowfields that you need to cross, but the visibility was really bad, like a lot of fog. And the wind, when we got even further down, the wind got stronger. It was a bit sad that we didn't get to see all the views along this part, but when we're getting down here, then it was clearing up, but the wind was picking up. So on this part, the wind was actually 40 kilometers per hour. So again, like the views were amazing, but then again, we couldn't really stop or like take photos because the wind was brutal. Somehow my hairbrush escaped my backpack and it just flew away with the wind. I still don't know how that happened. But yes, so you need to be very careful and cautious about the wind. But we did manage to finish the day here in Landmannalaugar. And they have a mountain hut there and also a campsite. And if you do the hike from south to north, one of the best things is that when you finish the hike, you can finish at the hot thermal pools. And these pools are properly hot. After the disappointment at the Volcano huts, I was a bit suspicious if these pools would be hot. So I lowered my expectations a lot. But when we got here, it was such a nice surprise because the pools, they were really nice. It's a big area as well where you can, just relax. And it's a natural pool. And so these pools, they are completely free to use. They are open 24/7, so you can just go there whenever you want. I really don't know a better way to finish a hike than this. And also, here in Landmannalaugar, you have a few services. So you have the mountain huts. And then for the campers, you have this like a tent where you can cook your stuff. And then there is a little like a mini market. It's inside a bus, but they have quite a lot of products there. And then next to the bus, they have another bus that is a cafe. And they, for example, they sell these hot dogs, which, in Iceland, they eat a lot of hot dogs. So you can get some food there as well. So that was something nice. And when should you do this hike? So we did this in late July. And basically, you can do the hike whenever the huts are open. So that would be basically the summer season. In general, the huts are open from late June to mid-September. So that's basically everything you need to know about Laugavegur and Fimmvörðuháls. If you have any questions, let me know and don't forget to subscribe.